Hi, it's the team for BaxterStorey here, Mike Hanson, Elizabeth Histed and Natalie Mainwaring. We're really excited to be able to be contributing to this awesome project. Sustainability is really important, so we thought we'd take the opportunity of getting Mike online. He's the head of sustainable business at BaxterStorey and very much an industry leader in terms of sustainability, and we thought it'd be really important to take the opportunity to speak to Mike about what we can be doing to make sure that sustainability remains firmly on the agenda for now and into the future, but also not just about in the workplace, but also at home whilst we're all doing that work from home culture. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, thank you very much. It's fantastic to be here. It's been an interesting time. I mean, I've been on furlough myself, as obviously many of our colleagues. Back on flexi furlough now, and sustainability is right up there. And as our clients are starting to come back, they're not losing on sustainability. Which is fantastic.
The world's actually gone through a big change during lockdown, and actually there's been a bit of time for it to have some breathing room. Has there been some really big kind of key changes across the planet as a result of that to allow it to repair itself?
It would be great to think that this is it's an opportunity to reset. We've all experienced being able to hear the birds, the quiet, no planes, no traffic, cleaner air. It's been reported that globally, from end of April compared to same time in 2019, daily global emissions dropped by 17%. Sadly, that's not going to remain, clearly, because everything's getting back to normal and there's more flight. I think people have become more connected with nature, more connected with food. Your opportunities to go shopping are less, so you've been planning your meals a bit more. You've been sitting down eating with your family. I think we've got to take the opportunity from this, and I really hope we will. But certainly the noises that come out from our sector, but also from general society, is that actually people want to come back and take the opportunity to have a rethink and think, actually, what's all this about? What's our purpose? Why are we doing this?
It's interesting actually say about people coming back to a sense of normality. So as we saw on the 4th of July, our hospitality sector was allowed to slowly start to reopen. But I think we've also noticed some changes. So, for example, a lot of places aren't allowing reusable coffee cups anymore. And do you think that's where we're heading? So we're going back to relying on disposables?
It's a really interesting point. I mean, I think that, and it's actually only this week it's been reported that Starbucks have actually wound that back and said, because they were the first people really to say we're not accepting reusable cups, but now have gone back on that after significant testing. But I do think to a degree that was around the customer's perception of safety, because actually it could always have been done very, very simply without touching the cup. And there's no reason why that was in place apart from trying to allay people's fears and helping people to feel more confident. So I think that will start to come back. We've had processes in place all the way along to explain to people how they can safely use a reusable cup. So hopefully that will gain momentum, and I think generally speaking, people will become more confident with the whole process. People have been locked down for 4 months or whatever, and it's all very new and a bit scary. But I think people will generally become more confident with the processes and the robust procedures we put in place.
I think the other thing we've seen is people supporting their local communities a lot more. So where we were forced, I suppose, to shop locally, what, from your perspective, like what part does that play in sustainability?
100%. I mean, I think if you look at sustainability from more holistically rather than just environment, from a societal impact and supporting local economies, and particularly at the moment supporting jobs, buying locally is really important. Interestingly, what most people perceive as, or a lot of people perceive as, one of the impacts of buying locally is actually reducing road miles, and that is true. But food miles and travel is actually quite a small percentage of the overall footprint. It's about buying seasonal, buying fresh, buying and local. In that it hasn't the product itself hasn't degraded in terms of its nutritional quality, what the nutrition is within the item itself. So I think the buying locally is really about supporting your local businesses, your local communities, keep helping everybody to become together And I think it's what it's also doing. People are becoming more connected with the food, as I've said earlier, and it's becoming more emotional. And if you can actually go into your greengrocers, or if there is, greengrocer or local shop, and choose what you're buying and talk to people and actually interact, it becomes much, much more of a social, emotional interaction.
Really interesting you say that, Mike, because actually I think the workplace is a real community environment too. And actually, when we walk into our workplaces, usually sustainability from a personal perspective goes away from the forefront of our mind, because actually it's usually quite taken care of. Green energy is being purchased, it's easy in terms of bins, etc. Is there anywhere that, or any resources you can point everybody in the direction for, to them to help their behaviours at home essentially and educate themselves a bit more personally?
Two fantastic opportunities of things that we're involved with. One is food service footprint, which is particularly it's an information resource and a networking platform that hold all sorts of events around sustainability within the food service sector. But also from a wider perspective, probably the best group to get involved with is EDIE, which is edie.net. They're an absolutely fantastic group. It's a platform of sustainability professionals, but also people getting involved, understanding and joining network events and all sorts. I mean, it's brilliant. We've been involved with it for 7 years or so, which is a great resource. But it's interesting what you said in that about people's behaviour at work. People behave in a better environmental way at home than they do in the office. And you're right, in the workplace, it's generally, I think, because people think someone else is doing it for them. It's taken care of. Someone else is looking after my rubbish. Someone else is going to sort my waste. And it's not my energy. It's not my water, it's not, and so on. Whereas at home, and this has actually been proven, people behave more green, should we say, at home. So they're more fastidious about recycling, sorting out their waste and so on, switching your lights off, stopping your dripping tap, and all of that sort of stuff. A question I actually posed on Twitter last night was, do people think that that's continued through lockdown? And I actually think, it goes back to what I said earlier, is actually people are more environmentally aware now at home than they ever have been. From a purely sustainability perspective, it's really exciting, is that is going to continue and hopefully spill over into the workplace.
I think, Mike, the banana bread revolution just said it all, didn't it, right at the beginning of lockdown? And actually, we've gone to grow our own situation. So actually, we've planted a huge amount ourselves, and actually we've become self-sufficient for certain things as well, which has just been incredible. I suppose I've got one last big question for you, Mike, and I know that you're very passionate about mentoring youngsters in sustainability and people trying to come through with it. Elizabeth, yourself and myself are all very lucky at the moment to be in employment within the flexible furlough scheme, but quite a few people have been, unfortunately, not been so lucky, I suppose, and also have lost their jobs. But some might be looking at having a career in sustainability as it becomes more and more prevalent on the business agenda. Have you got any advice that you can give to anybody who would be looking for a sustainability-based role and what they could be doing to educate themselves over the weeks whilst they're looking for new jobs?
There's absolutely masses of resource online. As I mentioned, EDIE, even something like the Guardian website. Now, on the Guardian website, there is a whole environmental section, and the information and reports and backgrounds you can look into is fascinating. And then if you look at, there's an association called the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, IEMA. And they do foundation courses, which are not expensive at all. Basic knowledge, basic understanding. I saw actually one yesterday, and it's actually the University of Cambridge actually now have a foundation course, which is like 4 weeks online, and then you get a certificate in sustainability, foundation sustainability leadership. So I think the opportunity is massive, and I think. And what we said earlier, but obviously sustainability is getting more and more prevalent now. People's knowledge is increasing. The opportunities for learning is increasing. I mean, if you wind the clock back 10 years, you really had to, scrabble around for information, and now it's everywhere.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. Well, I hope it's been really helpful. It's been a short and sweet video with us, but I think it was a really important topic that we all continue to talk about.